reputation for restoring careers. Take the case of veteran castoff Jim Plunkett. Many thought Plunkett's productive playing days were history, not Al Davis. Plunkett led the Raiders to Super Bowl glory. Last week, with Marcus Allen injured, Bo's future unsure, and facing a possible 0-2 start, the Raiders turned to former 49er running back Roger Craig. Despite suffering a cut over his eye that required 4 stitches, the tough veteran carried a personal high 27 times, almost 100 yards, leading the Raiders to their first victory of 1991. Bo and Marcus are still out. Can Craig continue to lead the Raiders? Has the wily Davis done it again?
NBC Sports presents the National Football League. Today, it's the Indianapolis Colts versus the Los Angeles Raiders.
The famed Coliseum in Los Angeles, the scene, a crowd of over 40,000 on a hazy, sunny, near 80-degree day as the Indianapolis Colts visit the Los Angeles Raiders. Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard. Dick Enberg along with Bill Walsh. Walsh, who coached the 49ers to 3 Super Bowl championships, and will watch 2 former players today with the Raiders, Ronnie Lott and Roger Craig. Will they give Al Davis what he's looking for to push them beyond the AFC championship game to the Super Bowl?
Well, Dick, I'm not sure of that. They'll help much as these veterans that have come to the Raiders over the years. But they're not going to be, in the case of Ronnie Lott, he's not going to be an Iron Man. Roger Craig's not going to be a workhorse. They're just going to be able to help their team, help them win, but it's still going to be up to Jay Schrader to finally hit some deep passes.
Colts will get the ball first. The Raiders kicking off. Jeff Jager kicks it off. As the Colts won the toss, heads it toward the sidelines. Verdun at the 10. Clarence Verdun wiggling through a sea of black jerseys out to the 26-yard line. On comes Jeff George and the Indianapolis Colts offense. Here are the linemen: Irv Pankey, former Ram; Bubba Paris, former 49er, rebuilt left side of the line this year; Ray Donaldson. Stability in the middle with Zephyrus Moss and Call on the right side. Eric Dickerson, his first game ever played in the Coliseum. Anthony Johnson of Notre Dame with him. Brooks and Hester, wide receivers, with rookie Kerry Cash at tight end. Anthony Johnson goes out in the pony, and Clarence Verdun comes in the 3 wide receiver offense. George perhaps changing his play from the 26. Dickerson, who else, gets the first carry and gains maybe a yard. The Raiders waiting for him on that defensive left side. Howie Long anchors that part of the field. Bob Golick, Scott Davis, and Greg Townsend, the front 4. Winston Moss, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer, joins Ricky Ellison and Tom Benson in the 4-3 alignment. McDaniel and Washington, the Raider corners. Anderson and Ronnie Lott at safety.
Dick, Irv Pankey is out of the game already. He just limped off the field on the first play from scrimmage. He came in with a bad ankle, and he's already out of it. And they were counting on him.
Gain of about a half yard on first down. Dickerson, the only back behind George. He gets the call again. Stacked up for a loss at the 25. Scott Davis spearheaded the charge along with Ricky Ellison.
This is just what the Raiders wanted. Come right at them, and they're big, strong, physical, and they want them one-on-one all the way across the line of scrimmage. There's Pankey already out. Now, he's brought new leadership. He's brought experience. Former teammate of Eric Dickerson's, but he's out with that ankle already, and who knows when he'll be able to come back in.
Held out with the Rams, reported this week, had no training and suffered an ankle injury in practice during the week, and perhaps has aggravated that. You got to have some summer training. Pankey had none. 3rd and 11 for the Colts. That's Anthony Johnson in motion. From the shotgun is George. Guns the ball complete. Going to be shy of a first down as they mark it at the 35-yard line. Caught by Johnson, who had 11 receptions in the opening game against New England, former Notre Dame star. It'll be short by about a yard of a first down. Ron Meyer across the way. And here comes Pat Beach. He did not start today. He too is injured. It's a team riddled with injuries, the Colts, but is in uniform because of this ability. Ron Meyer said, I don't have anyone else who can make the long snap like Beach, so he's being used today primarily in this role.
It's a shoulder injury, and so I'm not sure how well he'll be able to snap with a nerve problem in his shoulder.
Ron Stark to punt. Tim Brown at the other end for the Raiders. The left footer sends a high booming kick. Brown has room to run from the 14, 20, And Brown tackled at the 25-yard line. 51 yards on the kick, 12 yards return. Jay Schrader, number 13 for the Raiders, brings the offense on the field. Steve Smith is the blocking fullback, one of the best in the NFL. Roger Craig gained 99 yards last week in the win against ENBERG. Gold is their leading receiver. Mervin Fernandez, tough to bring down. The tight end Ethan Horton. Wilkerson, Wisniewski, Mosbar, Montoya, and Wright are the blockers, and when they go to the tilt formation, they'll bring in two more tackles. Fitzpatrick and McElroy line up four, in essence, tackles and a tight end on one side. Schrader comes out throwing, hits Fernandez at the 30, and he's wrestled out of bounds at the 35. A gain of 9. Chris Good made the tackle.
Well, the Raiders are going to open up the formation, and typically when they do, they're going to throw to the outside, and then they'll close it up and run. Both teams are very predictable. Both teams defensively can call their defenses according to formation, so it's just going to become a very physical game.
We welcome you to the Coliseum in Los Angeles. Dick Enberg with Bill Walsh. Those of you who saw the Lions beat the Dolphins 17-13, a goal line stand by Detroit, denying Don Shula his 300th NFL win. We're just underway here. The Colts took the kickoff, could not gain any yardage. A broken play for Jay Schrader. He tucks it away, picks up good yardage and a first down at his own 47-yard line. Quintus McDonald finally secured the tackle. 12 yards on the play.
Everybody was right but Jay. He reversed out the wrong way. Roger Craig went the other way. Roger's lost now, but Jay's quick enough with it to split people down the seams and.
So from the 47 on the Raider half of the field, Schrader checks the defensive alignment. Fernandez to the right, Brown slotted left with Willie Gold. And Schrader goes on a timeout.
You know, you shouldn't have to do that. Now, Jay can't take too much time. He can call a simple audible, but don't waste a timeout at this stage of the game.
1-1 after being bombed 51-3 in the AFC Championship game at Buffalo last January. And then starting the year, losing to Houston, they won last week against Denver. There's the defensive alignment for the Colts. Thompson, Davis, Hand, McDonald, Radisek and company. Good and Daniel are the corners, and Ball and Pryor at safety. In the nickel, they might use as many as 7 defensive backs. Roger Craig's first carry, and he picks up a couple as he wiggles out to the 49-yard line. Roger Craig last week took a blow over the head, 4 stitches, and even in warm-up today, typical of Craig, he's such a tough guy, and yet he always has that engaging smile. He is incandescent in his personality. He loves life. And his addition in that huddle offensively will be what Lott hopefully brings the Raiders on defense. The hope, of course, with Raider fans and Al Davis.
Well, Roger just loves the game of football. He's just almost born to play it. Even practice, he just thrives on every aspect of it.
Ball was down as the tackle made and now called incomplete at the 47-yard line.
Now these plays have to be made by the Raiders. You just can't miscue on a 5-yard pass, and thus far this year they just haven't scored, and of course that extends all the way back through last season. And when they play these close, low-scoring games, a team like Indianapolis can score an upset with one crazy pass toward the end. So the Raiders have got to get better offensive continuity. They have to execute. They've got the talent to do it, but it just hasn't been forthcoming.
3rd down and a long 8 from the 49. Galt in motion.
Good pass protection.
And he's rolling long for the tight end, Horton. And just back in time to break up the play was 36 John Baylor.
And Baylor was in good shape all the way. They tried to get him isolated.
Number 7, 83 Verdun for the Colts at the other end. Jaeger, when Steve Berline traded, he wore 7, took that number. Mickey Mantle was his idol. Been wearing 7, he said, since a Little League Baseball player. Just misses the pylon at the corner of the end zone. It goes into the end zone for the touchback. The Colts will have the ball at the 20-yard line when we're 10 minutes left in the opening quarter, and the Colts have it after the touchback. Jeff George with Eric Dickerson. Colts lost a valuable player, Alvin Bentley, injured last week in Miami, out for the year, a serious knee injury. With Johnson in motion, it's Dickerson trying the right side. Got a great block from Johnson, but elected not to use that one. Instead went outside, had the block to go inside, and the flag goes down.
Looked like a late hit, well out of bounds, but not much of a hit, like a collision. But that'll cost.
5 yards on the play if Eric Dickerson. Personal foul is the call. Howard Rowe, the referee today.
This play was designed to come back underneath the left guard's block. That's Bubba Paris trapping there. Nice job of controlling it by Townsend. Dennis pursued to the outside with Benson, and there's the hit outside with Eddie Anderson. But now that play was beautifully defensed because Townsend came right into Bubba Paris, cut everything off, and finally Dickerson had nowhere to go but to his own bench.
Johnson now slotted left. First down at the 40 after the penalty.
They're just going to have to throw and throw effectively.
Dickerson battling for 3 yards as we check our 10-minute. The Battle of the Bays with Tampa leading Green by 1.
Well, Dallas being shut out today, I guess they realize they still have a lot to learn. It takes time. Wide
open was Jesse Hester, the former Raider, but George's pass was too tall.
Now George is a little bit anxious, and really there's no excuse for it or explanation for it. He has to hit that receiver because that just takes everything out. They get him open right upfield. Defensive man Daniels stumbles and is wide open, and the ball's thrown 6 feet over his head. Now that's really tough.
Remember yesterday, Jeff George told us that he's really he feels he has to throw the ball in 2 seconds. The protection hasn't been there, and he did throw it in 2 seconds.
Well, Dick, you know you can't assume that the protection won't be there, or you'll be throwing wild every play. That time the protection was fine.
3rd down and 7 from the shotgun. Good protection, and through the fingertips, a catchable ball at the 50-yard line to Johnson.
Now those are tough plays to throw and catch. When you have man-to-man coverage, you have a hooking work. You have to have moving receivers for man-to-man coverage.
Ron Stark, his first punt was 51 yards, kicking to Tim Brown. Stark, number 4 all time in kicks, and he's dropped in a beauty, but they can't down it in time. Downfield was John Baylor. 37 net on the punt. The Raiders get it at the 20-yard line. Ball carrier is Roger Craig, acquired as a plan B from San Francisco. 3 times a rusher of 1,000 yards for you, Bill.
Right. Roger just isn't this kind of back. Now, he was run on these kinds of plays with San Francisco, but a week ago, 27 carries for less than a 4-point average. That's tough.
Here's that tilt formation. Look at all the men on the left side. A guard and tackle on the right side, and a wide receiver. 4 tackles on the left side, in essence. And the give to Craig, and he's met rudely by Jeff Arad, number 54. Perhaps the best defensive player on this Colt team. Arad has led them in tackles the last 2 years. He's from Mississippi.
The Raiders, with extra offensive linemen, have added 2 of them, stretched out their defense that time to the left, really with 4 defensive linemen plus a tight end on the left, stretching the defense. Now they'd run an unbalanced line the week before, but this one is adding another offensive lineman. And so in this particular case, now they've substituted again, but we'll give you a good look at it the next time we see it. It's interesting, but I'll tell you, you're going back to the trenches playing that kind of football. Back to a base formation this time on 3rd and 5. Schrader down the middle, and there's Tim Brown. Caught from behind at the 44-yard line. First down Raiders. Chris Good made the tackle. Good was on Tim Brown. Tim will be the 3rd Raider receiver playing on the strong side like a triple formation or a weak side. They want to isolate him. In this case, he gets a jump on his defender, and away he goes. Now, in the previous series, we saw Indianapolis with a hooking receiver, a pass broken up. This time, the Raiders have a moving receiver, and it works against man-to-man. Here's that tilt formation. Here comes Craig again. And he battles for about 5 yards out to the 48-yard line before Travis Davis and plenty of help can make the tackle. Now, what you're trying to get with this, you'll see 5 linemen on the right side, and they're hoping to get a seam somewhere in the defense that doesn't quite have enough people to stand up to these big 5 linemen. Now you have 3 offensive tackles in a row, and the defense really isn't up to dealing with that many people, except you're only looking for 3 and 4 and 5 yard gains doing it. Here it is again, strong to the right. Now Jay Schrader is calling an audible related to how they line up. There's Craig again.
No hole that time. He tried basically the same hole as the previous when he gained 6 yards, but John Hand, number 78 from Alabama, was there.
John Hand just slanted to the inside. The Colts have looked for an unbalanced line. They were going to move their defensive line or slide their linebackers, which means they'd compensate. And the Raiders have this kind of football, but the Raiders just can't expect to run that kind of thing down after down and go the length of the field. It's just a change-up is all it can be.
3rd and 4 and a half.
Now this is the formation, Dick, I think, is the one the Raiders can win with. Tim Brown in the slot. Here he's in motion. Now you've got 3 great receivers in the game. A strong safety blitz being picked up.
Oh, rarely dropped those. Mervin Fernandez at the 40-yard line would have been a first down. And that'll bring on the punt team.
Well, one element of the offense did beautifully, admirably. They picked up the blitzers, did a fine job of it. Schrader had the time he needed. He threw an accurate pass, but now this element breaks down. Fernandez, a fine receiver, can't handle the ball. Now, I think he was thinking of the sideline. That's the only explanation you can give. He's got to have that catch.
And he knows that the former San Jose State star and a big star in the Canadian Football League, he won't drop too many of those. Verdun, who led the NFL in punt returns last year, nearly 13 yards an attempt, has it at the 15, 20. Gets a block, 25, 30, and he gets about 15 on that play, but a flag goes down.
Well, I saw one clip. I'm not sure that was the one that was called, but a lot of action on the sideline.
On a kicking team, first down.
Plus the 5 yards. There it is on veteran Jerry Robinson. When we return, it'll be Indianapolis. Scoreless tie, ball at the 35. And we're back at the Coliseum. Dick Enberg with Bill Walsh. We welcome those of you who have been watching the Browns and the Bengals, the Battle of Ohio and Cleveland, on 4 Matt Stover field goals and a safety, edging the Bengals 14-13. The Browns are 2-1 and Cincinnati falls 0-3. Here no score, 5:14 remaining in the opening quarter. Neither team has done much. Colts have done nothing. And it's Eric Dickerson out to the 39, a gain of a long 3.
These are really tough yards for Dickerson. With the Rams, he had opportunity after opportunity. He was a much younger man, but all opportunities to break and make things happen. And you can see with the Colts, everything is beginning to settle down into sort of a mediocre kind of career, averaging 4.25, where with the Rams almost 5 yards a carry. But of course, he's an aging athlete, but he still has so much to offer. They're just not getting him on track.
5 carries here in the first quarter, 11 yards for Dickerson, who needs just under 100 to pass Franco Harris, number 4 all time.
He can't stop and start like that. He just can't do it. He takes long strides, a natural long striding runner with great speed and acceleration. But every time he's carried the ball thus far, he's stopped and started. And as a runner, you can't do that unless you're one of the real quick, smaller backs. He stop, start out there, stop again, and then he takes all that punishment.
But Bill, in his behalf, he stopped because Bob Golick was going to hit him behind the line of scrimmage.
No question about it. They're not giving him the running room he needs. He only needs, say, blocking for the first 3 yards of the carry. From that point on, he's on his own, but he's not getting that. And that's the problem.
3rd and 8, George in the shotgun.
Oh, yeah.
Down he goes, the first Raider sack of the day, and it goes to number 94, Anthony Smith, who was the number 1 pick of the Raiders last year out of Arizona, was out for the entire year with reconstructive knee surgery. That's his 3rd sack of this new season.
Well, a number of missed assignments on the part of the Colts. They had that last week. They have an offensive line. Now, there's a man that's just going right by Bubba Smith, but there should have been help to that side by the center. They didn't get it. So missed assignments, changes in the offensive line just disrupt any chance of continuity.
Stark punting for the 3rd time already in this first quarter. This one's much shorter. It's Brown at the 37. Tim Brown, a 5-yard return to the 43 with a timeout. 3:27 remaining in the first period in Los Angeles.
scoring thus far this year. Have you noticed that, Dick? There have been a few blowouts, but a lot of low-scoring games. The defenses are beginning to catch up by doing a lot of different kinds of substituting, and that's what we're seeing, of course, here today also.
Craig, a good pass receiver, is in motion. And Schrader looking deep down the middle for Galt. Oh, great timing on the tackle by number 38, Eugene Daniel, to deny the catch.
That is as tough as it gets. Throwing that ball down the middle to Galt at about a 35-yard depth. Two safeties are sitting back there, and they both, Mike Pryor makes a play on the ball. They're right at, he's catching the ball right where those safeties normally would be sitting at that point in the play. And there's a little pressure by Thompson, but the ball was simply thrown too late.
Daniel led the Colts his best year, 85, with 8 interceptions. And Craig breaking some tackles. And that's a Roger Craig who was cheered by San Francisco fans, who picks up nearly 9 yards.
One of the concerns about Craig as a college player was he ran very high, and that kept some of the scouts from considering him a first-round pick. But look at the knee action. Look at those knees drive. You really can't get much from Craig, and he can keep picking them up falling forward. Now, he will go down as one of the outstanding backs in the game of football. Possibly not Hall of Fame, but he took San Francisco to 3 World Championships. But my problem with it is just not a workhorse-type back. If they had Marcus Allen and Roger alternating them, then they would have the formula that Al Davis and Art Shell want.
Allen on the sidelines after a knee injury in Houston in the season opener. On 3rd down, it's Craig again picking up the first down at the 42-yard line.
Well, that's just excellent blocking by Montoya. And Max Montoya, number 65, has a bad leg, an arch problem, and he's coming off the line. He does a fine job picking up a linebacker. Excellent job on the right side by McElroy. And the offensive line of the Raiders is big, strong, active, experienced. They're right where they belong to be World Championships. But as we continue to point out, the team itself does not score enough. They don't score enough points to get games out of reach.
First time on the Colts half of the field, and it's Craig getting the call again. They run him to the sidelines, and a gain of a couple. No score here. Final minute of the first quarter. Let's go to Bob Costas. All right, Robert, and working on another low-scoring game here in Los Angeles, the Raiders and the Colts. Craig, the leading rusher, 29 yards now on 8 carries. 2nd and 9. Craig hard after a gain of a yard. Travis Davis, number 95. Verv Pankey, the word is it's an Achilles problem, and that's something that he aggravated earlier this week. And boy, Ron Meyer's problems in that offensive line. He already has Randy Dixon on the shelf with a calf injury. Brian Baldinger has replaced Pankey, and that leaves only Mark Vanderpool, a rookie from Colorado, as a replacement if should there be another injury. And he's got Bubba Paris, who's only been with the club a couple of weeks, so things are tough on offense for Indianapolis.
And the Achilles problem is one that just doesn't you don't recover from that very quickly. It takes weeks usually.
3rd down and 8 for Schrader. Has the man open. It's Tim Brown. I believe he has the first down. The mark is at the 31-yard line. That'll be a first down for the Raiders, and Brown seems injured after taking a good pop from Jeff Harrod.
At this point, the pass rush just really isn't there. So Schrader's going to have all the time he wants throughout the day, I believe, unless Indianapolis makes a mistake of blitzing, which opens up the deep pass. So Schrader's going to have time. It would be good to see him just get untracked, throw 30, 35 times, get it over everything in sync today, so that later in the year they've got it all put together to make a run at the championship.
And that's the end of a scoreless first quarter. 80-degree day in Los Angeles, the Coliseum, and while we were away, there's Marcus Allen giving some encouragement to Roger Craig. Talk about productivity between those two men, over 150 NFL touchdowns. Marcus with over 90 in his brilliant career.
Totally different kinds of guys. Both love the game, but Marcus, a very svelte, sophisticated guy. Roger just absolutely enthusiastic, and look at this.
First down play, a flag goes down as Craig hit 3 times. Should have taken a yard or 2 loss and gains 5. Jeff Harrod finally got him down.
Roger Craig, I can recall our last practice of a year going to the Super Bowl. Roger just like innocently said, oh, gee, no more practice after today. Gee, I hate to see this go. Meanwhile, he's been playing football for 6 straight months, and he still wants to practice.
Number 88 on offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Ethan Horton, the tight end.
But Roger just loves to practice, thrives on the game, year-round conditioning, and he's one of the sweetest men, the most gentle type men off the field. Got that easy smile, a great competitor. Just a truly great competitor, and he's going to help the Raiders. Marcus Allen's going to help, but the problem is that the Raiders are still going to have to get in the end zone. Let's see what happens. They still have to start getting in the end zone, and they're not getting it done.
Collegiate ball on this field for the Southern California Trojans, and he's happy, as are the Trojan fans, after the Penn State win. To New York, Ron Meyer.
Now there's a guy that's under a little bit of heat, Dick, I'll have to say. Ron Meyer, some justified, probably some not justified.
Schrader on the scramble and ducks out of bounds in front of Quintus McDonald at the 36-yard line. You talk about lack of scoring for these two teams. Don Beebe, who leads the NFL, those 4 touchdown catches for the Bills last year. The Raiders team has 3 so far, and the Colts have scored 1 touchdown in 2 games. Beebe leads 2 NFL teams. They got to combine to tie him.
Well, it's getting things in sync, but as far as Ron Meyer is concerned, he's been a gambler, a reckless gambler in the way of trading, which we can visit about, but also with his team. I think he's awfully what's the thing they used to call it, laissez-faire? Is that what they just easy going with his team, and sometimes the disciplines aren't there.
Schrader, oh, good screen. Craig has blockers. 30, 20, and he has a first down at the 15. High stepping Roger Craig for 21.
He cut back underneath his blockers. Defenders were going toward the screen, and Craig instinctively came back after the catch and went underneath. So we'll see a chance to see Roger get the ball and go back inside with it once the ball is in the air. Now Roger will start to the outside, and you can see him right here. Now he'll break back underneath everything, and people pursuing to the blockers. Roger goes the other way.
10th play of the drive. Schrader into the end zone. Touchdown, Morgan Fernandez.
Schrader can do that. That ball was on a line. That was at least a 30-yard pass from where it was thrown. And you see the ball carry high above the shoulders. That's where you want it. Right on the numbers on that short post pattern. Now Schrader can do that. And Fernandez can run those kind of patterns with his size. The tools are there.
His first touchdown of this season, only his 5th catch after he dropped one that angered himself in the first quarter. Jeff Jager adds the extra point, and the Raiders have the lead 7-0. A flag is down.
There's a shot to the inside. Defender in good position, but the ball's thrown right into the body high. So Goody is in position to get it, but can't get around that big target. That's the place on the field to call that play, about the 20-yard line.
Holding number 88 on a kicking team, 10-yard penalty, repeat the try.
Oh, Jager will have to kick it from farther away. Fernandez says, yep, there's number 1, his first of this year. Last year, he had 5 touchdown catches to lead the Raiders, 52 receptions, also tops for LA.
Well, he's the kind of receiver that can do about everything. He's not great deep down the field, but he's so strong and physical. He gets himself between the defender and the ball, and he's tough to get out of the way. Plus that, he breaks tackles after the catch.
30-yard extra point, and Jager booms it through.
Schrader's going to get excellent protection, and this is the mechanics. Right foot throwing right off that front foot, and that's the discipline that Mike White's helped him with. So he's improved.
quarter. Go 57 yards in 10 plays. Schrader to Fernandez, a 16-yard strike. It's 7-0. Jaeger kicks it off. The deep man, Verdun, down the middle. And it's Verdun who comes out. Short kick at the 15. Looks for a block and not much there. To the 24-yard line. Let's check the Fram 10 and next Saturday. Bill and I will be in South Bend, Indiana. Michigan State Spartans and Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The Spartans licking their wounds after Central Michigan.
Who beat them, Dick?
Chippewas beat them 20-3.
Oh, I've heard that for the last 12 hours, 14 times. What school did you attend?
Greatest day in the history of Central Michigan. First completion for George goes to the second to Anthony Johnson, and a first down out at the 37-yard line.
The plan for the Colts was to run Dickerson, establish the running game. Well, I'm not sure that'll happen if they played until tomorrow morning, but that'll be a problem. But the plan B was, once that's established, play pass, which makes sense. So they went to the play pass. I'm not sure they'll ever establish the run, but the play pass might at least help control those Raider linebackers to get some shorter passes in behind them. Now that can be a factor.
13 yards on that play. They had gained 10 yards total in the first 3 possessions. Dickerson has a hole this time, and the big back, 224 pounds, who played with the Rams, set the NFL record here in Southern California with the Los Angeles Rams, and shooting now for his 8th 1,000-yard season, picks up 10.
The plan was to run on this side of the line, and especially Bubba Parris, the right guard, is going to do a fine job of blocking. So you see him come out and slam his man to the outside. So Parris, playing guard for the first time, is able to block linebackers for the first time, and that big massive body gets it done. Now Bubba is playing at about 325 pounds now. A good weight for him. Spoke with him this morning. His concern for the Colts was, like many people, they've just got to discipline themselves, much as we did in San Francisco. All the little detail things, especially the running game.
Just shy of the first down, as you saw in the measurement. Second down for George. And the Colts with Dickerson the only right back. Dickerson skips out of one tackle and may have fallen forward enough for a first down. Greg Townsend, off to another outstanding start for the Raiders, makes the tackle. Townsend, who has completely shaved his head, he said he thought he would beat Mother Nature to it. Started the January 1st a year ago.
He'll play on the open side of the formation. And now they have Johnson sort of cutting him off, and that time Townsend over pursued. He really wasn't blocked, he was just over pursued.
There's the look. They call that the Faratzis here in Los Angeles. It's an interesting design. He said he wasn't going to have much hair much longer anyway.
Francis would look good in that Yul Brynner kind of. There's the pass.
George with plenty of time. Wide open is Bill Brooks, and Brooks is to the Raider 20-yard line before Terry McDaniel can drag him down. Biggest play of the day for Indianapolis.
George stood his ground that time. Now he's warmed up to the game, hopefully, because he had good time. Now here's the pattern by Brooks straight up the field, and just a shallow cross. He leans up the field, then bends, and of course McDaniel just couldn't stay with him. He got there before McDaniel could. But to me, the key was that George stood in there, and he wasn't disrupted or too anxious. He threw a beautiful shot.
Brooks, who passed the 300 reception mark last week, he's now needs only 3 to move by Jimmy Orr, number 5 all time on the Colts list. Dickerson slips down at the 20. What did you make out of that conversation with Eric Dickerson yesterday, where he said when he was with the Rams he loved it, then he really hated football?
When he's been spectacularly successful, he's thrived on the game. When he's been down and out and criticized, he's hated the game. And I think he really runs in sort of in cycles that way. And if he can have a big day today, maybe he'll continue to love the game.
Excellent tackle coming up from his corner by Terry McDaniel, as Dickerson had eluded 3 of 4 black jerseys, but not McDaniel.
Well, Dickerson's having used every bit of. Marcus Allen's very similar. They need somewhere to get started, then that gliding stride can make a difference.
3rd and 10. That's Anthony Johnson in motion. Quick release, and the ball is dropped at the 10. As Anthony Johnson had it, thought he was interfered, but it was a good charge from Gary Lewis, an extra defensive back, and the field goal unit comes on.
Jeff George threw the ball too quickly. He really jerked that ball away because he felt pressure from his right. He jerked it away, and now it's a hooking pattern against man-to-man. We've talked about it earlier. You see, it's so tight, Dick, that you couldn't get that ball in there if you had some kind of a way to traject it with a line on it. You couldn't get it there quick enough.
But Johnson had a legitimate argument. Boy, Lewis did everything but count his ribs.
Well, they're much more liberal, as you know, around in going for a ball. If both guys appear to be going for it.
37-yard attempt by Dean Biasucci, who hooks it wide to the left. So Biasucci has been a very reliable field goal man for the Colts. Missed 4 in the loss to New England on opening day. Came back last week in Miami 2 for 2. His first chance today, no good from 37, and the Colts can ill afford to miss on a chance. It was wide as soon as he hit the ball. And Ron Meyer told us yesterday, with the way we're not scoring, we just can't miss field goals. You don't miss them in the NFL.
That was a duck hook, if you want to relate it to golf. That ball, when he kicked it, just spun left. I've done it. I mean, I've got a history of that myself.
Fernandez with a catch. Daniel, the tackler, at the 26.5, a gain of about 7. Biasucci missing on one was blocked against New England, and against Miami clicked on a 48 and a 21-yarder, 2 for 2.
You know, Dick, that's just losing your nerve, and George threw off his back foot on that previous pass. The hooked field goal, that's sort of losing your nerve as a team.
Craig fighting forward and has the first down just across the 30. Jeff Parad makes the tackle, number 54. Late scores on our Fram 10-minute ticker. Jets still leading Buffalo. Denver 3-0, and Atlanta has added another 3 and now are up 10 against the Chargers.
Bruce Kozlik's done a great job with those Jets. It's not going to show up in the win-loss record for at least another year. But just to go in there and be competitive, that.
Ron Meyer in his 6th year with the Colts. Purdue defensive back, and was in New England 2.5 years. He won the favor of the Colts crowd when he came into an 0-13 season, and the Colts went 3 straight wins at the end of the year.
Well, here are the Raiders with their classic 3-receiver offense. Tight end in the block. Craig is the deep back.
And Schrader drifting back and looking long. What a catch by Fernandez, and he's tackled from behind at the 33.
You know, you see the newspaper columns here in San Francisco, here in Los Angeles and San Francisco for that matter, how this guy, Schrader, it can be so hot and so professional in one sense, so severe in his disciplines. There's a perfect shot on what they call a fade pattern. The ball is thrown at the right time, the right trajectory, the right height when it's caught, and then Jay can have his off moments where no one can quite figure out what's happened. If they can just increase that period of time when he's so efficient, he can play with any quarterback.
38 yards on the play for Fernandez. First down at the Colt 33, leading 7-0 here in the second quarter, and it's Roger Craig with that drum major high step of his, gaining a couple. Travis Davis from Michigan State, number 95, made the tackle. He was left unsigned by New Orleans, picked up by the Colts this year.
Well, there are 2 outstanding linebackers in that defense right now. Bickett, of course, who typically plays on the right side, and then Harrod, who is really the better athlete of the 2, the faster, who may have a real career. Those are the key guys.
Bill, Ray Donaldson, the word we just get, broken fibula, lower leg fracture, and there's another offensive lineman, the center for the Colts. He's out. Another catch by Fernandez, having a field day. First down at the Indianapolis 20. Chris Good made the tackle. So Pankey is out, Donaldson is out, and that means that the Colts, when they get the ball, have only 5 healthy interior offensive linemen.
And the kind of things they'll do will be very limited. They basically should throw more because these guys, there's less chance of injury and they can work in pass protection. But once with 5 offensive linemen, you start pulling and trapping and things of that nature, sprained ankles and those kind of occurrences come up, then you'd really be in trouble. Then you'd be looking for tight ends to play tackle and things of that nature.
Fernandez with 5 catches now, as on first down they give to Craig for a couple. Michael Ball came up from his safety position, number 31, to make the hit. Art Shell, he says that he loves football on the ground, and that's why he's injected this tilt formation. He feels that it's a smash mouth football, and that when they get the healthy backs, Allen back and the big rookie from Iowa, Nick Bell at 250, that they're going to wear down the opposition. The second half will be the Raiders' half of the game.
Well, they want Bell back because at 250 pounds late in the game, when there's some weariness and fatigue on the defense, they can give him the ball and he can start breaking tackles.
Pretty good list of talent on the injured list. Not much this time for Craig, who gets to the 16, where it'll be 3rd and about 6.
Roger has lost what you'd call a step. At one time he might have sprung that, but he's reading his blocking very well. And that time when Toya pulled and trapped, Roger was right on his hip, broke and got all the yardage the blocking could acquire for him.
Well, what credentials, though. He's rushed for over 7,000 yards and caught over 500 passes in his 8 years in the league.
Well, as a pass receiver, I don't think there's been anybody better in the last 10 years in the NFL. As a pass receiver, Roger Craig is absolutely the best.
3rd and 6. The quick toss wide open was the tight end, and they should have had a touchdown anyway. They missed. No, it was Tim Brown who was short. There wasn't anyone within 15 yards of Brown, but Schrader had committed to go long to Fernandez, and Fernandez couldn't make the catch.
Well, Schrader had made up his mind here. The coverage broke down. Schrader was looking over the top. Now, those are the things that every once in a while crop up with Schrader. That vision, that instinct, and now he sees it right away. But he's maybe 30 seconds late in the thought process. The great arm, the timing, but the instinct on occasion isn't there.
33-yard field goal attempt by Jeff Jaeger, and he whacks it through, and the Raiders up their lead to 10-0 with 2:41 remaining in the first half.
But he's still a very effective player, and he's playing left guard very well without any practical work in it.
Clarence Verdun, who is known for the Verdans, had to do some fancy footwork just to get back to the 16-yard line.
Well, this is the test of the character that Ron Meyer would have built in his team at this point in the season in a game. You're down 10-0, not insurmountable. You're healthy at quarterback. You've got your receivers, your great runner, and now
nothing Raiders. The Colts have not done much, although they did have a shot at a field goal. A long pass from George to Brooks, setting that up. George throwing off the back foot again to his favorite target, Brooks.
Now that was well done, that throw, because George did have to pull away and throw off his back foot. The Raiders ran a line stunt. Howie Long got it started, but Scott Davis was right in his face. There's Howie Long, Townsend on the outside, but there's Golick. Golick hasn't got many sacks, but he got close.
Dickerson gets the first down and is out to the 31-yard line before Eddie Anderson, the safety, can make the stop with 2:09 ticking down to the 2-minute timeout. The Colts in no hurry. No, they are going to call a timeout here to get a play in before the 2-minute timeout, which will give us an opportunity to share with you the special 8th-round pick is sidelined with an Achilles injury. Dixon, who has hurt himself with a calf injury, has had to come in to play guard with a broken fibula. Ray Donaldson, the starting center. George whips it out of the backfield to Dickerson. A good throw, good catch, out of bounds at the 40. Stop the clock with 2:02 left, and they'll get another play in before the 2-minute timeout. Tom Benson, the linebacker, pushed him out of bounds. Dickerson, who is off to a tremendous start catching the ball this year, had 15 coming into the game today.
I don't like the yardage, though, Dick. For Dickerson to average 6.7 yards. Roger Craig, in his better years, was averaging 10, 10.5. So Dickerson needs something down the field. Now it's a good outlet throwing, and I'm sure they're glad they've got it. But Dickerson at his best would be running full stride, catching a ball into the corner, something like that.
2-minute warning.
First half, more than 2 minutes remaining in the half, and so even on the out of bounds play, the clock runs. So this is the 2-minute timeout. 10-0 Los Angeles. Ritter. Big hole for Eric Dickerson. He's galloping to the Raider 33-yard line.
That was beautifully done, a draw play, and Baldinger was playing center, did an excellent job of coming out and then picking up Moss, the linebacker. So he set up, came out and caught Moss, and then was able to break Dickerson down the field. Very well executed, called just at the right time.
That positions the Colts at least with a chance at a field goal. A pass was brought the receiver back toward the quarterback, and what should have been an 8-yard gain was about a 1-yard effort as Anthony Johnson, the fullback, made a juggling catch.
You know, I think if you saw Jeff George in 5 years, you'd see one of the top flight functioning quarterbacks. But in the meantime, he's going to have the same inconsistency problems that Schrader had. Good protection this time.
Throws on the run, caught by Dickerson. Nope, he trapped it. Winston Moss there in the coverage for the Raiders. But George, very seldom do you see him just set up, step forward.
Patterns to develop.
Something wrong with the clock. It's not moving. Throwing the flat and stepping out of bounds with John. Nope, they're going to say he did not get out of bounds. They mark it at the 30. The clock's still running at 52 seconds. But I don't know if that's official because it was not running a moment ago when it should have been.
Well, they've got the long field goal up for grabs, although confidence in the play kicking. It's not a great choice for Meyer at this point. The long field goal.
Here, this one 47 yards. Ron Stark, the punter, to hold. And he misses to the right. Just slithered wide to the right. So first one hooked left. This one misses right. And a team that needs an emotional boost, and even getting within a touchdown would have helped.
One other running play to get him closer.
Schrader looking long and has a world of time. It's to Willie Gauld at the 44, and the flag is down in the secondary of the Colts. Gauld making a leaping catch, and Schrader calls timeout. 27 seconds left. Chris Good made the tackle.
Well, we've got the flag. The guess is that it was defensive holding down the field.
Illegal chuck after the 5-yard distance. 26 yards on the play to Gauld, who has big numbers this year. He's averaging
Illegal
28.
Contact, number 38 on a defense. Penalties refused. Completed pass for first down.
First catch for Gauld today. He's got 2 touchdowns. 2 of the 3 scored by the Raiders prior to today.
Schrader had all the timing there. There's a 4-man rush.
That's to Fernandez, takes him out of bounds at the 38-yard line, and another flag is down, and they may have roughed Schrader.
On the previous play, there were 3 men trying to rush Schrader ineffectively, and he had at least 5 seconds to throw the ball. It looked like he was going to have it again this time.
Now you get a personal foul penalty that's going to move the Raiders into field goal range. Boy, the Colts are self-destructing.
Personal foul, number 96, blow to the head, 15-yard penalty at the end of the completion. First down.
Top right part of the screen. Here it comes right down the middle. Oh, gee.
Quintus McDonald with a little forearm into the mask of Schrader, who tells him what he thinks about it, and that moves the Raiders inside the 25-yard line. The Colts missing a field goal in the final seconds, and now a short pass, a personal foul, and with 22 seconds left, the Raiders are in position at least to get another 3.
Well, it all goes back. It's so easy to second guess, having been through this. I've made the same kind.
Colts' first penalty today. They're the least penalized team in the NFL thus far, but that one came at inappropriate time. It's Craig. Roger Craig to the 14-yard line with 14 seconds, and time called 15 seconds. John Baylor made the stop. Time for another Raider play.
Well, this Craig's going to come on an underneath handoff. And coming around that corner and just reading his guard's block and then cutting off the guard's course that he runs. Now that's the play that Roger had a lot of success with in San Francisco, and he ran that one well. Now the Raiders with 15 seconds can go for the end zone twice before they go for the field goal. So look for them to get into the end zone with the next throw, maybe try 2 of them down there, and then look to kick the field goal.
Craig, who carried 27 times last week in the win against Denver, a career high, has carried 15. He's on a pace to break the record of a week ago. 50 yards, he gained 99 versus the Broncos. 1 timeout left for the Raiders. 15 seconds remaining first half. 10-0 Los Angeles. Tim Brown, the third receiver in. Remember, he was wide open in this formation earlier in the half. And Schrader has to eat it. Dwayne Bickett, number 50, and number 90, Mel Agee, a rookie from Illinois, in on the sack.
Now this is one of the critical coaching factors.
Out of Gossett's hold. Jager's got it.
Well, that was a pretty kick. That was right down the middle.
With 6 seconds left in the half, the Raiders up their lead to 13-0. So within the last game time, 1 minute of game time, the Colts were in position to get 3 and pull within a touchdown. Instead, they miss a couple of quick plays. The Raiders a long throw and a 15-yard penalty, and they up their lead to 13.
So much of it is game.
Oh, my.
Don't ask me to do that again, Dick.
You were terrific. Jager skips it through, and it's Clarence Verdun. The 20. Clarence Verdun is Verdun. Hiding behind those blockers, gets out to the 42-yard line. That's the end of the half. And if the penalty is against the Colts, the half will indeed end.
Well, the Colts just need to get out.
Raiders will get the ball to start the second half. Sam Grady, a brilliant sprinter, an 84 gold medalist, and Jamie Holland are deep as Biasucci ready to kick it off. Biasucci has taken some serious acting lessons, and he'll have to call on some positive emotions the way things are going for him. Typical of the Colts as a team. Short kick. Holland at the 20. Big wedge of blockers, but flags are down, and Holland finally dragged down at the 47-yard line. But Cedric Figueroa just activated this week by the Colts.
There's a massive clip right in the middle of the field, and it looked as though for a minute it wouldn't be spotted, but the official on the far side got it, so that'll bring the Raiders back.
Gives us a chance to look at the Coors yards. Only 7 more than the Colts, passing almost 3-1 for Los Angeles, and total yards almost 2-1.
This could defensively to become champions.
With the penalty, Schrader starts at his own 15 and gives to Craig, who doesn't gain an inch. John Hand plugged the hole, number 78.
John Hand destroyed the blocker. Wilkerson just destroyed him and went right to Roger. Wilkerson didn't even come close to handling Hand that time.
And who grew up admiring great Baltimore Colt Bubba Smith.
He's a load. He's a big guy, and he can really work through blockers well. He's strong enough to take him back.
Schrader 10 for 15 in the first half for 159 yards and a touchdown. Underneath it goes to Fernandez, who's had a field day, but only 4 yards on that catch, as Mervin Fernandez has 7 for Art Shell today. 7 for 89 yards and the touchdown.
Fernandez tried to get more than the play really accounted for. As he caught the ball, he should have turned straight up the field and got the extra 2 or 3 yards. Instead of 4, it becomes a 7-yard gain. But instead, Merv wanted to go around everybody, and as you try to lose ground to circle outside of people, most often they catch you along the way.
Fernandez out to the right. Tim Brown in there, slotted on the left side. Gold far left. 3rd and 5 underneath. Almost a juggling catch by the tight end Ethan Horton, broken up by John Baylor, former Southern Mississippi star.
Well, Horton's going to have to handle those. Horton, former lead again, as the Raiders try to control the ball toward the end of the game. They'll go to their tilt formation to do it.
Gossett punts. A low liner that Verdun can't get to along the sidelines, and it kicks out of bounds. Good kick by Gossett to the 28-yard line. A kick of 52 yards, no return for the former baseball star at Eastern Illinois. The final, absolutely ravenous for some points. George to throw. Good protection. Gets Dickerson at the 33. Pickup of about 4. Tom Benson and Ricky Ellison with a tackle.
Well, that's the way to do it. Get the ball back and get it off before they
pass. 5.5 yards per attempt so far this year. That's the lowest since 1953 for the Colts. 8 for 12 today, but only 76 yards on 12 passes. As Dickerson stop and start, and that draws the crowd.
Well, I saw Ronnie Lott from the weak safety spot right in the middle of the play. And if there's ever been a classic matchup between a safety man and a great runner, it's been Ronnie Lott and Eric Dickerson all those years. Now Ronnie will come forward from this point to make the play, but for all those years Ronnie would tee off on Dickerson. You'll see him come flying forward right in the hole. Dickerson has to stop to make him miss, but I can remember the contact between those two for the 6 years they played against each other. It's 12 games. A great rivalry. 2 Hall of Fame players. And you'd seldom think safety versus running back, but in this case that's it.
3rd and 8, Dickerson dragged down by Eddie Anderson for a 2-yard loss.
Well, both safeties, Anderson and Lott, are just ready to come up on Dickerson. Nothing's going on that would keep them deep. And so George is caught with a problem. He doesn't have time to throw.
Start to punt. Pat Beach healthy enough to at least snap the ball and start. Just able to elude being hit, and kicks it off the side of his foot out of bounds at the Colts 45-yard line. What else can go wrong? A 15-yard punt by a man who has the 4th best average in NFL history. Ron Stark taught it a bit from Elvis Patterson. He really needs that, doesn't he? 16-yard punt officially, and the Raiders take over at the 45 of the Colts, leading 13-0. 11 minutes left in the 3rd period. Schrader to Craig. Good tackle by Jeff Harrod.
Now that is a mean hit. Great angle of pursuit. He scraped into the hole. Now this is the best player on the Colt team defensively. He's got really everything to be a Pro Bowl player. Look at the sliding movement and then right down underneath.
He's first cousin of Mr. T. Harrod weighs 246, but if he wore some of that gold, he could get himself up there in the 260 range.
Well, he's got a Singletary type play, Singletary type action, sliding behind the line, then being decisive and having enough shocking power to take people back.
2nd and 7, Craig again. Nothing there, but he skips out of some tackles, but winds up losing back to the 44-yard line.
Well, they're expecting a lot out of Roger Craig. I'm going to have to say that. It's that simple. I don't know why they necessarily have to hammer in there like that. They've got a good day going throwing the ball. Why not just go after it?
Steve Smith, the fullback, has not carried the entire day, and he's been on the field every offensive play except for the 3 wide receivers.
The problem with hitting in there that much, taking that much shocking power, whether you know it or not, as weeks pass, it takes too much out of you. It takes a young body to do that. And Roger's been around just a little too long to be a workhorse.
3rd down and 8. Flags it down. Schrader, wide open field. Slides down at the 31. Would have a first down, but I believe we have a hold against the Raiders. 13 yards for number 13 on the scramble. But
It was man-to-man coverage. Everybody was chasing someone else, and Schrader had a chance to run. Now, these things he's doing better and better. I think he's got a lot of people that root for him. They want him to do well.
Holding number 76 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, third down.
Wisniewski will be in front of his guy, arms around. I think he, I guess he held. I mean, he had both arms around, but I didn't see any grasp. The rules are so liberal as to the use of hands and arms now that it's really tough to decide. He did not grab the man. Now, I don't know what that means. I think players that were in the game 20 years ago must say, what is this?
Drives him crazy. Third down and 19. Schrader. Not much there. And will slide in at the 49, where it'll be fourth down and about 13. Well, the backup quarterback to Schrader is Vince Evans, and then the #1 pick, the youngster out of Southern California, Todd Marinovich. It startled many when the Raiders traded away Steve Berline. So there's no serious backup to Schrader. There's no quarterback struggle here or controversy. It's all Schrader.
I'll tell you this, Todd Artshell really likes Marinovich. I mean, there's talk of trying to find ways to get him in a game because they know he is the future. And at this point, he looks so good in practice, they think, why not play him in a game? But you don't want a Jeff George syndrome if you do it.
I don't know what happened to Verdun, but Mike Pryor is the deep man on this punt as Gossett aims it for the sidelines. And hits the corner at the 2-yard line. That's two great kicks back-to-back by Gossett, 52 and 47 yards, both out of bounds. Timeout, 7:57 remaining in the third period. CM with the Raiders leading 13-0, and Jeff George and the Colts start from their own 2-yard line. Dickerson. Boy, you could see those Raiders just looking for a safety. Well, what do you do now? What do you do if you're a sports fan and you've just been married yesterday and you're spending your honeymoon? I mean, what better place than to come to see the Raiders if you're Magic Johnson with Nee Cookie Kelly is a bride. They've known each other for 14 years, going back to his Michigan State days. The day they were married in East Lansing yesterday and raced out here to see the Raiders and the Colts.
They wanted to see the Colts.
There's a real NFL fan. 2nd and 9. George down the middle, complete to Hester, who pays for it. Eddie Anderson and Terry McDaniel, the former Raider Hester, gets up with a first down.
Well, that is where you need experience. You know the safety is going to be there. He's going to go straight up the field, start out, bend in, and now he knows there's somebody in that middle. They're bound to be there. There they are. Both safeties.
And Anderson with a reputation of a KO man. Hester, who was traded away by the Raiders, he was the #1 pick of the LA Raiders in '85.
Feller was concerned about his hands, but that time he showed one thing. He showed courage.
17 yards as well. George on play action. Same play down the middle. Caught by Anthony Johnson. Another first down at the 34-yard line. Anderson again with a tackle.
Well, part of the plan starting to develop. Establish the run.
So from the 3-yard line out to the, actually the 2-yard line, it started to the 34 on the first down.
Now he's changing the play, so you'd like to think he's going to go ahead and throw it.
Ooh, almost intercepted by Terry McDaniel, who did a good job of chucking Bill Brooks at the line of scrimmage. Brooks just couldn't get off.
Dick Brooks was down. You couldn't throw him a ball. And George forced it in there. Now you see him start up the field. That's an excellent shot. It wasn't to the head. Well, gee, there's no need to throw in there. There's got to be an alternate receiver somewhere on the field.
Well, Jeff George is in his 2nd season, and not many quarterbacks really feel their way 3rd or 4th year, and he's thrown into the fire as a rookie as the #1 player picked a year ago.
Well, it had to play him because of the major trade it was. It was much like Jim Plunkett had to go through.
Oops. Lost his footing, and there was a rush on him.
Well, it was going left, having to throw with his right arm. There wasn't a chance it could get turned back to release a football. Sprinting to the left in the NFL is suicidal.
Let's check the Hertz 10-minute ticker. The late score is Buffalo has gone in front of the Jets in the third, early in the third.
Just looking for the formula. Boy, it's a tough one to get. He's taken a lot of chances, risks in trades, and not all of them have turned out.
3rd and 17, the draw, and don't know if they ran maybe a delay of game. Didn't get it off in the 30.
Delay of game offense, 5-yard penalty.
George, who almost signed a baseball contract. He was an outstanding high school. Almost hit 500 shortstop. Ho, ho! What did he call? A draw. That cost him up, and he fumbles, but was he down? Not down. Covered by the Raiders. First down, Raiders at the 33. Oh, my.
Excuse me if I don't say much. I'm sort of speechless. He ran a draw. Well, I guess it's fine. The Raiders were stunning, and Dickerson jumped outside, but he didn't. As a great player, he still didn't hold the ball at the end. Now he has to make a big move outside and inside of Washington. He got a major hit from downfield. He's got everybody on him. But I didn't see the ball come out. It must have...
Maybe from this angle we can. McDaniel makes the tackle.
They just pull it out.
It's out. And Jerry Robinson, the veteran from UCLA, recovered. They're reviewing it, but it appears that they had pulled it free before Dickerson was down.
After review, play stands is called on the field. First down, Los Angeles.
Well, John Gonzalez, our director, John Francis, our producer, had that from every angle. So the Raiders with a 13-0 lead. And Dickerson, of course, one of the few negatives against him in his growing.
Well, he's trying to get every inch out of the play. And it's just people coming from all angles.
Schrader looking for something big. And just misses connections with Mervin Fernandez against Chris Good.
Raiders got the turnover and just went for it right now. And that's why not? He's in good field position.
Here's the quiet, strong man leader of the Raiders, Art Shell. Jerry Robinson, the veteran linebacker, said he even shouts quiet. Doesn't say a lot. He always was a leader with his actions, this Hall of Fame left tackle.
Terry Urbisky next to him, who's calling the plays, running the offense.
2nd and 10. Roger Craig tripped up as he gets to the 28-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 5. Quintus McDonald, who's playing for the injured Chip Banks, made the stop. Banks, a former Southern California All-America, hopeful that he could play back here in the Coliseum, but he's out with a knee injury. Has a lot of company, sadly, for the Colts.
Just so many injuries. Even if they were a team that was really solid and established, that number of injuries would reflect in the win-loss column, because you don't have key guys that get specific things done for you.
On 3rd and 5, wide open underneath was Craig, and he's got the first down at the 21. That play look familiar?
Fullback curl. Now you saw Roger Craig, the minute he caught it, he turned up and tried to split linebackers, and we sort of criticized Fernandez earlier for not doing that. But Roger saw it, got his pads under the backers, and got up in there for that extra yard or two.
And Craig going to get a breather as he jogs off. He has been a workhorse. Napoleon McCallum has replaced him, the former Navy star. Craig with 54 yards rushing today and 2 catches, 27 more. There's McCallum, traded away by the Raiders to San Diego and then reacquired. From the 21, it's Steve Smith, his first carry, and the big fullback. They were ignoring him. Blasts for 11 yards and a first down. They figured, hey, he's not going to carry all day.
Now here's a guy that's one of the most respected in football. Art Shell, in coaching the Pro Bowl, talking to the players, visiting with the other backs. Everybody wants a Steve Smith in the backfield with you. Now, it's not necessarily for doing what he's just done. It's the blocking factor. But here he makes good decisions. Now when he has to, he just turns it down and gets what he can to finish the play off.
Just inches, inches away from the 10-yard line. So this is not 1st and goal. Leading 13-0. Incomplete. Jonathan Horton. That's about 3 today. All tough catches, but the tight end unable to tuck any of them away.
Well, McCallum went into the corner, released outside, went to the corner as a back, and he was uncovered the last 5 yards of it. So it's there. They blew the coverage on him. But again, Schrader was zeroed in on his primary receiver.
James Fitzpatrick comes out with some injury. He has replaced Max Montoya. Montoya, the veteran right guard, is out with an injury. Fitzpatrick perhaps with a blow around the helmet or face. 320-pounder, Plan B from San Diego a year ago. And Napoleon is to the 4.
Gee, that was excellent line blocking. Wisniewski pulling through the hole. Mosbar blocking back. Just excellent fundamental football.
See his season numbers: 5 carries, 11 yards. Gets about 6 on that one.
Kim Helton, the offensive line coach, who's been with the Raiders now 2 years, is very popular with the players, and then very obviously why. He teaches the fundamentals, and he's coordinated that offensive line beautifully. He's much like Ollie Spencer, who once was really one of the great offensive line coaches in the game.
Efferrod, he has been the one shining light on this Colts roster today. He has played outstanding from that inside backer position.
So he simply blitzed, and the gap wasn't blocked down to. The left guard, Wisniewski, you would think would have seen that and stepped down to pick that off. So typically what they do is have a gap call, which means here comes the blitzer, and they didn't communicate. Kim Helton, I'm sure, is going to have to visit with him about that one.
That's his 2nd sack of the season. Had one last week against Miami. The leading tackler, Herod, and Jaeger looking for 3 for 3 from 33. Hits it low, but drives it through. So Jeff Jaeger is now 7 for 8 this year. 3 out of 3 today. 16-0 for the team of Al Davis. These two teams, a touchdown so far is a collector's item. Indianapolis with 1 in 3 games, and the Raiders with only 4. But the Raiders with enough other opportunities, and they lead 16-0. Jaeger to kick it off. Ron Meyer seems so hopeless as you look at him across the way. Great kick. Takes Verdun right out of the end zone. Touchback at the 20-yard line. Jaeger with a smile, and we have a timeout. There he is, James Garner, the Maverick in Rockford, and tonight premiering with Man of the People. And normally that'd just be a promo, and he'd come out 1 game in his whole life, but not Garner. He's been following the Raiders since the 60s. He's been in every Raider highlight film since 1969, and he commented to us before the game today. One of his favorites was Mark Van Egan. Said he seemed so unlike a Raider, but he became one of the best. He's a big fan.
Hey!
George eludes the rush of Townsend, and then runs out of bounds, hoping to find someone open. Good coverage.
Well, Gardner, the Raiders won every time he was present. Am I right, Dick?
Well, when he went up to Oakland.
Yeah, every time. So he's a lifetime Raider fan from this point. Al Davis won't release him. Anything that helps you win, Al's going to jump on. And
all new Sunday lineup on NBC, so stay with us right after the game. Except here on the West Coast, that'll all begin tonight at 7 o'clock. Dickerson to the 29-yard line. I asked Jim what is the series about, and he said basically it's not comedy, it's light humor. He plays kind of a rebel renegade sort of a character that's elected into or finds his way into the city council. That whole premise does conjure up some interesting storylines. Just kind of wonder what he'd do with the Colts situation. That's hardly humorous at all.
Yeah, bring humor to that would be a gift.
End of the third, 16-0. Denver still shutting out Seattle, and Atlanta up now by 6 against San Diego. Jeff George and the Colts on 3rd down and short, and they get the short play to Dickerson. Oh, no, it's Anthony Johnson out to the 36-yard line in the 1st down before Tom Benson can put the wrapper on him. 45 yards on 6 catches for Anthony.
Well, they're trying to avoid the rush now by sprinting out, which makes sense. Attack the line of scrimmage with the offensive line, move the quarterback way over to one side or the other, then throw the short pass. Now that's not, once the Raiders get a feel for that, they'll start really tightening down on the receivers. But that gave him a little more time than he's been getting.
3 wide receivers on this alignment. George guns it, complete to Brooks. And Brooks has another first down at the Indianapolis 48. Terry McDaniel, the tackler, a gain of 12.
By all reason, the game should be totally out of reach right now for Indianapolis. The way it's gone, the Raiders should have, say, a 24-28 point lead. But again, failing to score the touchdown is going to give Indianapolis a chance to get back in the game. Just one score and they're back in this ball game with 14 minutes left.
Brooks' catch was his 303rd as the Colts a tie. The great Jimmy Orr, number 5 all time. And there he goes, fumbles the ball. The Colts recover. Howie Long with a sack. And let's get the Colt that at least was in position to fall on the ball. It was Randy Dixon.
Howie Long just overpowered Dixon and took him right back into the quarterback. You see him just taking Dixon right back to the quarterback, and there's Howie Long. Now the ball should have been thrown earlier, but it's so hard, so easy to criticize all this. I don't know what I'd do at this point with the Colts other than just do the best you can, let everybody get healthy, try to get them all healthy, and then make a move at the end of the year, which Myers has been able to do throughout his career. The later stages of a career, he comes on strong.
Saw Bob Golick out of that nose tackle position as they bring in some extra pass rushers. And George calls timeout with 13:20 left in this game. All Los Angeles, 16-0 Raiders. A lot of history in this great arena, the Coliseum in Los Angeles. First the home of the Rams when they moved from Cleveland and won the only NFL championship this city has cheered in 1951, 40 years ago. 2nd and 22 for the Colts. Screen it to Johnson. Gets a block, gets another. And he's all the way to the Raider 40 and a first down, a gain of 24.
Beautifully done. It was a double screen. You fake a screen to the right, try to draw people, then come back and throw the screen to the left. So as you see him drop back, look at people on the one side faking over there, now coming back to the other people on the other side, so they spread that defense wide open. Now this takes some excellent running by Johnson to get that extra couple of yards to get the first down. Well executed. The Raiders were fanned all over the field by the time George threw it.
7 catches today for Johnson, 18 in the first 3 games. Throw play to Dickerson. He can't get out of the backfield as Bob Golick makes the tackle. 16-0 here in Los Angeles. Now Bob Golick, 12-year veteran from Notre Dame. He said that when it's over for him, they're going to have to drag him off the field by the ankles. My fingers will be digging in the turf. Look at that face. And they say that nose guard position is tough. Well, just look at that face. 33-year-old Bob Golick, and compare it to the All-American Golick at Notre Dame in 1978. You think this game doesn't take a little wear and tear on you?
It's like that Spencer Tracy and Jekyll and Hyde. My God, what a difference.
But he says he's prettier now, and it's all in how you perceive yourself.
Well, he
has replaced him. And poor Ron Meyer, he just doesn't have any healthy linemen. He's playing with a rookie, a man who shouldn't be playing today, Dixon, who's injured. That's all he's got left. George. Incomplete. Almost deflected forward to Clarence Verdun out of the hands of Johnson. But the brakes aren't there for Indianapolis. Well, the Colts have made 3 major deals in the last 5 years. For Dickerson, for George, for that other list. Right now, it hasn't worked out in their favor, but Jeff George is only in his 2nd year. Again, throwing off balance, and Brooks makes an acrobatic catch at the 29-yard line for a first down.
George backed up and then jumped up on his right foot and lobbed the ball into the middle. And he fortunately had his man open enough that the ball fell in there. And you see people releasing outside Around now, finally up the field, you'll see a man coming open. The ball was almost thrown straight up in the air. Now that it just isn't coordinated passing.
Well, it shows you the kind of arm George has, because he's never really planted and thrown forcefully stepping into his throw. He's throwing balls falling back, falling sideways, and still gets them there. So it's a positive in a way.
There's a lot of positive things about it. You can see people under all that pressure, and he's finding a way to get them the ball. See how he's having to maneuver, then throw.
Throws underneath to Jesse Hester, and Hester is close to another first down for the Colts before Ricky Ellison can make the stop.
You know, this reminds me of...
Want to get rid of the ball, much like Dan Marino. He's got a quick release. He's not going to suffer the punishment. Try to stay healthy.
You're right.
10:19 left, final quarter. Ray Townsend, who as a kid lived in nearby Compton, would come here to cheer his idol, O.J. Simpson. He played for the Watts Wildcats in the Pop Warner League, coached by Kermit Alexander, the former UCLA ran play. Eric Dickerson has a first down and fumbles the ball. Is it inbounds? Is it covered? Wait for a signal. It is covered by the Raiders. Terry McDaniel. Oh my, the deepest penetration of the game for Indianapolis winds up a fumble by Dickerson, his second of the game at the 8-yard line.
Well, it's just it demonstrates a state of mind, really an attitude and a state of mind. This great athlete makes beautiful plays. Ronnie Lott was trying to blitz and got himself out of position, but that ball just fell out along the way.
Torn Dorn, 46. Well, that's a great name for a man who forces a fumble. Torn Dorn.
Well, Dickerson just dropped the ball that time, and that's the killer. He fumbled the previous time after a nice gain. It's just a state of mind that has enveloped and consumed this team. They got to battle their way out of it.
So another scoring opportunity denied. They found every way not to. Last week they were first and goal at the 1 in Miami and couldn't knock it in. 4 tries. We understand that Robert Irsay, the owner of the Colts, has tried to fire Meyer on a couple occasions. That was reported by Will McDonough on NFL Live. He was unhappy about the offense last year, and Ron Myers had to live through all those rumors and negative talk as well. Injuries, a quarterback that's inexperienced.
I just don't know what you do, Dick, at this point. Ron Meyer has made an effort very aggressively, and he's taken some high-risk moves in his trades to get the impact player. The Young trade was not a good one for 2 firsts. Young was basically a special teams player, but the Dickerson-George combination you'd think could lead you somewhere, but too many other things have happened.
Sam Grady in the game, a long ball flip of the give to Napoleon McCallum, and McCallum is out for about 8 yards to the 16-yard line before tackled by Donnell Thompson and Michael Ball. Donnell Thompson, number 99, chatting with him yesterday. He owns a couple of McDonald's restaurants in Atlanta. He said, talk about an education. I've learned everything from cleaning the restrooms to going to the bank.
60 hours a week in the offseason working. I don't know if there's an NFL player that even borders on that kind of commitment to something else, but it does work out. By the way, here's the South formation, another form of it, with an extra offensive lineman in the game on the left side, and Schrader is now audibling as to where to run the ball.
To the left side to McCallum, and he has a first down, I believe, at the 19-yard line as we check the ITT 10-minute ticker. Jets by 1, and what is developing is a classic game in New York. Denver apparently will make it 2-1. Atlanta still hanging on at San Diego, but the Chargers a touchdown away from their first victory for Dan Henning, another coach that is walking a tightrope.
Well, Bruce Coslett, if he can pull that off with the Jets, he'd at least be coach of the week. People were saying the the Bills could not be stopped, and apparently they're being slowed down somehow.
First game away from home, that does make a difference. McCallum out to the 25-yard line before a crowd announced as 40,287 in this giant 92,000 capacity stadium, 40,287 the attendance. Those are the number of tickets sold. We'd guess there's about 35,000 here in attendance, and that in itself is a rather shocking number in this city with this team, a team that went 12-4 last year, the Raiders.
Well, now it's no huddle, and I'm sure Schrader's going to take as much time off the clock as he can before he puts the ball in play. So they line up, making it difficult to substitute another Colt defensive lineman, but he's going to run that clock right down, then snap the ball.
3 seconds on the clock. The play clock, and then McCallum pulling his way behind all that blocking power out to the 30-yard line and close to a first down.
Now look for a pass to the split end to Galt on the right quickly here, because the last play, the Colts brought up Pryor, the safety man, and left Galt with a chance to go down the field. In this case, they have Grady in there in Galt's spot on the right side. So look for Schrader to go for it down the field.
No one can cover Grady unless it's Carl Lewis.
Now they're out of position over there, and he's looking at it right now. You can see Jay's looking right at the weak safety position.
Grady on the near side of your screen. Up to give to McCallum. And McCallum on 3rd and inches is able to drive across the 30, and that's enough for a first down. Donnell Thompson and Michael Ball collaborate on the tackle. So McCallum comes into the game for Roger Craig. 5 straight carries for him and 31 yards.
Well, this gives him a chance to help the team. He's been a good special teams player, but now he gets a chance to run the ball from scrimmage and spell Craig, who appeared to be sort of running out of gas. Roger had 18 carries for 54 yards. Now that's a workhorse effort.
Meanwhile, Eric Dickerson, also 18 carries, 71 yards, which leaves him just shy of Franco Harris, number 4 all-time. Meaningless in light of the circumstances here today. Also, he fumbled twice. First down, McCallum right into a defense waiting for the run, and as they chew up the clock down near the 6-minute mark, leading 16-0. Thompson and Harrod with a tackle.
Al Davis is a hand-picked football team. Right down the line, every player Al is taken, signed, drafted, traded for, Plan B. Every one of them he's taken for a specific reason. So it's a hand-picked team that's taken some years to develop, and this is the year they'd expect to take it all.
Still 13 seconds on the play clock. 11-10, so Schrader looking to the far end of the Coliseum, playing that time wide. McCallum with flags down. Gets a yard maybe. Radisek and Harrod. Harrod in on another tackle. This young man from Birmingham, Alabama, number 54, played his college ball at Mississippi, was a 9th-round pick 3 years ago, and has developed into one of the top linebackers. This is a real Pro Bowl talent.
He gives you a Singletary kind of play because he can go quickly to the hole.
Number 73 offense, 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Singletary's type size, he's heavier, but he's 6 feet tall. About 20 pounds heavier than Singletary, but he's quick enough to get to the hole before the blocker can get off the line and make contact with him. So he's basically unblocked because of that quickness.
Led the Colts in tackles the last 2 weeks and the last 2 years.
Now there are some athletes on this Colt team. Dwayne Bickett is a Pro Bowl type athlete from Southern Cal here. Big, strong, strapping guy. Hand is a load. Thompson's a load. And so there are athletes. It's just a matter of injuries and then getting it all put together.
On second down and long, 19 to go. Schrader underneath to the rookie tight end Andrew Glover from Grambling, a 10th-round pick, former basketball center, 3-year starter with Grambling. His first catch as a pro, so that short yardage but meaningful to young Glover is Roger Craig, the man who knows how to win, helping his new club, the Raiders, to a 2-1 start this year, running for 99 yards last week in a tough win against the Broncos, and carrying most of the load as the Raiders build up a 16-0 lead today. Now only 4:22 left. 3rd down and 8. got away and finally brought down by Dwayne Bickett. So Bickett with his 3rd sack of the season as the quarterback Schrader flushed forward, and Bickett there to make the play. It was Harrod who was there first along with Mel Agee. Bickett picked up the scraps.
Harrod waited at the line of scrimmage like a delayed blitz. My guess is he had a man to cover in the backfield, and then when he saw that man block, he blitzed and no one touched him. Nobody was near him, and Schrader had no way to protect himself.
In comes Gossett with Clarence Verdun back at the 38. Verdun on a short kick. Trouble, nothing but black shirts down there, no blockers, and he gets out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Timeout, 3:43 left in this final quarter. 16-0 LA. Fumbled at the 8-yard line, Dickerson today. Quarantine zone. George underneath about 9 yards.
You know, coming into the game, Pankey was to be at left tackle for the Colts. He was out in the first play. Paris was to be at left guard. He was out in the 3rd quarter. Donaldson is out.
Broken leg, by the way.
Dixon's had to move to left guard. Call is the only player of the starting offensive line that's in the game now, and he's basically a backup football player.
Dickerson hit as he caught the ball, and it is ruled incomplete. Terry McDaniel picked it up and was heading for 6.
What happens, you go into almost a stupor when all these things happen. The players are moving at about 3/4 speeds, and their minds aren't set into the game. And even the coaching staff, it permeates through them. So it's a combination of all of these injuries today and going into the game.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised last night. The Colts were at our hotel that they didn't have any meetings, team meetings. Is that unusual? Don't most teams on the road have a meeting and a kind of a team meal? They just came to town and had to beat curfew, but there were no official get-togethers.
Yeah, it's a different, a different format than we use in San Francisco. There's Wallace. Of course, Wallace had to do nothing but stand there, and George came over to him and fell in front of him.
Wallace, who had 9 sacks as a rookie last year, gets his first of this season, the 4th today by Los Angeles. They've averaged 4 a game now, 12 through 3 games.
But Wallace is this is really a fine pass rush unit when they're geared up, because Smith and Wallace on the same side. Here they come. Here's Smith.
Screen to Dickerson, and it didn't fool Winston Moss, but Dickerson kicks out of the tackle and then skids out of bounds, shy of the first down at the Raider 44-yard line. Terry McDaniel, the nearest Los Angeles tackler.
The Raiders have got so much talent in that defensive line, and each guy can play a role. Scott Davis gets the great push. Howie Long forces 2 people to block him. Townsend, one of the great pass rushers in the game. They can bring in Smith. Wallace, a fine pass rusher. Smith, a good young player. But the one problem they have had, as you know, Dick, they get into a run-and-shoot kind of opponent. There's Dave Adolph, who's done a fine job with it. But the run-and-shoot or wide-open type opponent have given them problems, basically, against the run.
Going for it on 4th and 4. George to Johnson, and he gets just enough as he backpedals out at the 39-yard line. Gary Lewis, the tackler. Well, it'd be nice for the Colts. I mean, it's going to be a long trip home anyway, at least to get something on the scoreboard. As we look at the ITT 10-minute ticker, Jets now force Buffalo to score a touchdown to beat them. Denver out of reach late, and San Diego still with hope.
For those Jets, I can't believe the job that Bruce has done. Bruce Coslett taking on that Bill team, which is very well the best team in the NFL, and they probably will prove that by the end of the year. But to take them on and play that well, just a grand job of coaching.
George throwing out of bounds. Anthony Johnson, the intended receiver. If you joined us late, Schrader to Fernandez, 16 yards in the 2nd quarter, the only touchdown of the game. Jeff Jaeger with 3 field goals, 33, 41, and 33 yards. The closest the Colts have come to score. Biasucci missing a 37 and a 47-yard field goal, and Eric Dickerson fumbling at the 8 of Los Angeles.
Well, you can act real sad on the sideline, I guess, and maybe that's your explanation. But the Colts just need to get their rear ends in gear and work hard and battle through these problems.
Draw play to Dickerson. Does a good job of running. Gets to the 33-yard line. Rush Schneiderman with the statistics says that Eric Dickerson now 78 yards in 19 carries.
Now, 5 years ago, that would have been 160 yards in 19 carries. Twice as many yards with the Rams related to the blocking job they had and Dickerson's abilities.
George almost, no, it's incomplete. And a great effort by Lionel Washington. Oh, they are going to call that an interception. I saw the official far side waved it no good. A flag is down on the near side. I don't believe it's going to be allowed. Well, look at Washington.
Looks like an interception. Now, again, you're throwing to a stationary receiver against man-to-man coverage. Defender and receiver standing next to each other, both fighting for a ball.
Now, that ball was on the ground as he caught it. He did not catch it off the ground.
Holding. Defense number 46, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Moot point since the penalty gives the Colts a first down anyway with 2:11 left. And the only drama remaining, if one could exaggerate and call it that, is if the Colts can score.
George got up slow. I lost track of him when the ball was thrown, but something had to happen around where he was standing because he was flat.
You talk about how statistics and numbers are misleading. You look in the paper, you read Jeff George, 18 for 26, 202 yards. Those aren't bad numbers.
They look good. They look good as the years concluded.
George running for his life again and throwing back across the field, complete. Another catch for Anthony Johnson, who had 11 in the first game of the season, injured his ankle, didn't play against Miami, and has come back with 10 today. Timeout. Ellison, one of your former players, and Dave Adolph of the Raiders said there's no one with a better work ethic than this guy. You talk about Lott and Craig and all the rest. He said Ellison, boy, what a model. And it's a working family. His wife, Sheila, has authored 4 books. This one is for kids 2 years, children 2 years and up, 365 days of creative play. And I thought, you know, in terms of taking to football, here's a, well, there's a magic wand, and that might work.
I'll tell you, if Ricky had anything to do with it, it would be running into each other.
Get to
That's the game. Run into each other.
Line them up. Jeff George and the Colts. A screen to Dickerson with room to run. 15-10. Down at the 6-yard line. So with 1:50 left, the Colts again are inside the 20, the 3rd time all season, looking to break this shutout.
Well, as Dickerson got close to that goal line, those legs started reaching. Those knees came up. He wanted it.
18 yards on the play. That's going to place him close to number 4 all time to pass Franco Harris. Oh, that of course on a pass to George. And there's the new NFL rule. That would have been in the grasp a year ago, but only one hand, and he wasn't in danger. Aaron Wallace was the only man there, and he was able to throw it out of the end zone.
Well, once again, they had, I'm beating a dead horse, I guess, but they had receivers hooking against man-to-man coverage. So the defender and the receiver were all standing next to each other. George had nowhere to throw the ball. Now, the concept has to change at this point on the field. You've got to get people crossing to try to get an advantage on the defender. Then if it's a zone, they can stop quickly.
Might even be one of those accidental picks that you had with the 49ers.
They call them brushes.
Oh, brushes.
Yes.
On 2nd and goal, George running backwards and throws it out of the end zone again. So he's 2 for 2 out of the end zone, just not able to find room to throw. And he is either tired or took another little bump as he released that one from Greg Townsend.
Well, if there are timeouts available, he should simply call one, go over and talk about what to do next.
Oh, he's got a timeout. What would you, let's just say, considering the problems, injured linemen, the fact you've had trouble scoring, what is a play here? 3rd and goal at the 6.
I try to get a trap play to Dickerson right now, and if it didn't work, call timeout, then throw for it on 4th down. But I wouldn't bother to kick the field goal, and I don't anticipate that.
1:18 to go.
Hit Dickerson with a trap and see if he can make it clean. Now, Ronnie Lott's right up in that hole. Here it comes out.
George to Dickerson. Tackled for a loss with flags down. A loss of about 4 or 5 as they were looking for Dickerson all the way. Winston Moss, number 99, right there.
George is just playing a retreating game. He just keeps giving ground and trying to throw the football.
Penalty against the Colts.
Holding offense, penalty decline, bringing up 4th down.
Well, now they've got to go for it again. You might as well roll out or sprint out to the outside and try to hit a scrambling receiver down in the end zone. That's about all they're really going to be able to do. Get outside the pass rush of the Raiders and let people run around in the end zone.
Why do I find myself rooting for the Colts?
I know. I like to see them score just to have some measure of credibility, of dignity. Now he's scrambling, so he's got a chance.
Well, that's a microcosm the entire season for Jeff George and the Colts, who will be shut out today and will go back to Indianapolis, having scored 1 touchdown in 3 NFL games.
Well, they had their chances. They had the Dickerson fumble, which really hurt. I can't say it would have changed the outcome any. Now you run around backing up, throwing. Gee. Now you can't have him do too much of that, Dick, because he develops those habits, and you can't break them later on.
Ronnie Lott leading the defensive charge. Our executive producer of NBC Sports is Terry O'Neill. This game is directed by John Gonzalez, produced by John Faratzis. Our thanks to our help in the booth, Raj Schneiderman, Ron Lux, Chuck Panama, Joe Costanza, and all the men and women here in Los Angeles who had to work late hours after the college game last night. Couldn't come in to set up for our game today, video and audio, until after midnight. McCallum for short yardage. Let's pick up on news elsewhere as we go to Bob Costas in New York. Okay, so don't wander away from Los Angeles. We will be going to New York. Tom Hammond, Joe Namath are covering that game for NBC, the Jets and Buffalo. So soon as the final gun sounds here, and it's just seconds away. In fact, Schrader needs only to take 1 snap and kneel down, and this one's over. It's over. 10-9-8. So the Los Angeles Rangers go 2-1, 16-0 as we take a look at today's Canon camcorder replay of the game. Well, not much. We didn't have to hunt today. There was only 1 touchdown, and here it is. Second quarter. Jay Schrader finds Mervin Fernandez on a slant in the end zone. A perfect connection, and the touchdown for the Raiders. That's all they needed in this 16-0 victory. So one team will go celebrate a 2-1 start this year. The other team in disarray, 0-3. Now we go to Buffalo and the Jets, Joe Namath and Tom Hammond.
Stadium, the Jets leading the favored Buffalo Bills 20-16, 7-11 left. Welcome to those of you who have seen the Raiders blank the Indianapolis Colts. Jim Kelly in the Buffalo offense from midfield. There's Thurman Thomas with his 11th catch of the day. Mo Lewis makes the tackle on Thomas after he gains about 6 yards.
Once again, the Jets are playing loose. They're forcing the Bills to throw the ball short. The Bills don't mind that as long as they keep moving the ball and get some.
Tom Hammond and Joe Namath at the Meadowlands, where the Jets have controlled the football, keeping the Bills offense off the field for the most part. But they only lead by 4. Thomas surrounded. Penalty marker down as they threw Thomas for a loss of 2. But a flag on the play. Paul Fraze makes a big defensive play for the Jets. Hold against the Bills.
Coach Levy's got to be wondering what else can go wrong here. The Jets are shuffling some fresh defensive linemen in and out. Fraze in there, Gunn in there, the young rookie. They're keeping the defensive linemen fresh.
Bruce Coslett's game plan has clicked
Holding,
so far.
number 67, offense, 10 yards, still second down.
All-Pro center Kent Hull, the Mississippi cattle farmer, being called for the hold on that play. A costly penalty against the Bills. And Buffalo, 55 yards in penalties. The Jets have weathered 104 yards in calls. Second down and 15. Kelly's flutters one, and it gets to the receiver. Good for a first down. That is James Lofton that makes the catch. That pass looked bad from the outset. look good in the stats as Kyle Clifton appeared to have a chance to intercept. It gets through to Lofton.
Oh, reliable. Look at James hold on to that ball. He found the dead spot in that secondary, and Kelly delivered.
Fourth catch of the day for the 35-year-old Lofton. First down, Bills. Kelly throws short. Tight end McKellar stopped for a gain of maybe a yard on the play. Well, it'll depend on where they mark his forward progress. They'll give him about